Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the match preview. Fulham versus Everton. Game that Everton really need to bounce back in after 3 league defeats, and a international break has left it, well, 2 international breaks have left it a very long time since Everton have won a game of football, and that needs to be rectified on Sunday, because otherwise it could be a dark winter. I mean, the winter's dark enough for many reasons, but this, but you know what? Good chance to get 3 points, and if we get 3 points, we're back in the mix.
Yeah, if it's one of those either or things, isn't it? I've seen someone had messaged us and said, is it a pivotal game? Well, I guess it is in those respects. We win, and then everyone's going to be upbeat again. Yeah. We've got Leeds at home and Burnley away. You're looking at those 2 games then thinking, I tell you what, if we can play to our best of our ability in those games as well, we could be right back in that top 3 or 4. Lose it, and then people start looking, oh, here we go again, mid-table, obscurity. It's been a long time now, it feels, since we beat Brighton. When we beat Brighton, everything was great. It was goals galore. We were fast-flowing football. Yeah. And I think everybody felt really confident after that Brighton game because we hadn't had a LAN and we had to mix it up. Richarlison went off and it didn't really matter. We still able to score 4 goals. And people felt quite buoyed, I think, by the where Everton were going. And then since then, obviously, the derby was always going to be a tough game anyway. But the other 3 games, listen, United aren't brilliant, but they've got real quality in the final third. So I guess even that one you could go, it was an either-or game. But the 2 in the middle are the ones that are the kick in the stomach. Southampton fully deserved their win. We've got no bones about that. But should they have been able to beat us as comfortably as they did? I don't believe so. And certainly Newcastle was really a flat, horrible performance. So Everton need to bounce back.
I think in all 4 games, I think for me, the opposition just took advantage of our weaknesses more than anything. That our right hand side, whether we like it or not, is a weakness. And that's not saying because James Rodriguez is playing on that side. I mean, for 2 of the games, obviously we didn't have Seamus Coleman, so that was a problem, and it's potentially looking like we won't have Seamus Coleman for this game. So that's what the manager has to sort of figure out now, hasn't he? He had the first few games, and I don't know, listen, you always hear we've been figured out and all that. Well, in a way, I suppose we have been figured out. We've been figured out because there was a lot of space down our right-hand side, which teams have capitalised on. But also there was a lot of issues with injuries and suspensions, and we didn't have Richarlison, that's well documented. And whichever way we tried to do it, it just didn't work, and we couldn't get going, and James Rodriguez was definitely carrying an injury, and you've got no Richarlison on the other side. No one is creating chances for Dom, and suddenly you've gone from being a free-scoring team that's conceding a couple of goals to a team that can't score goals but is still conceding goals, and that's only going to end up one way, isn't it? Defeats, and that's something we have to sort out. And I don't know whether it'll be interesting to see how long Seamus Coleman is out injured for. We don't know at the time of recording, and whether that will dictate how we go about it, if there's going to be any kind of tactical change. You look at the centre backs and you think, could we go to 3-5-2? Or a variation. I certainly 3 at the back, because if we have to put John Joe Kenny in at right back, he'd probably be better being a little bit higher up the pitch. That would just maybe push James Rodriguez maybe a little bit more central. I think the manager's got food for thought, but I think what he has to do first, no matter what, is realise or come to a conclusion of what his best 11 is, because I think he knew it, but I think he's fallen out with it a little bit, certainly in that centre midfield spot.
I think, the issues have come because of the players being out. Obviously, Richarlison, stupidly got himself sent off in the derby. We can't move away from that fact. We've been unlucky otherwise. We've had injuries in the other areas of the pitch, which has cost us. I think the midfield isn't right. You know, Andre Gomez started the season okay, missed that Brighton game and hasn't quite been the same. He come back against Liverpool, was sluggish, hasn't been able to, didn't play the next game against Southampton, then started basically up front in the next game, like on the wing, you know, and then was back out the team. So he hasn't been able to get that. I think he started the season well enough, keeping hold of the ball, and just the midfield looked to be quite well balanced, but it's gone a bit ragged in the last couple of weeks. And I think it is a culmination of obviously no Richarlison. As Gylfi Sigurdsson's gone back to being Gylfi Sigurdsson of last season, which is not doing a thing. And everything's dried up for Dom. So I think what the manager does have to do is, because it is looking, I'll be very surprised if Seamus Coleman plays on Sunday. Very surprised. He was carrying a hamstring injury anyway. Should never have gone away with Ireland.
No.
He's gone away and got himself injured again. So therefore, you know, you're looking at that team and going, well, we were well beaten. Well, we lost last time. We could have got a draw, but we were beaten by United. We need to make some changes. 3 defeats on the run, you know, and Ben Godfrey's got to come in for me, and that whether that be at centre back alongside Holgate and Michael Keane, and we play 3, or whether he goes into the midfield. Because I think the one thing we've noticed in the last few games is the midfield started to look ragged because Alan and Decore are doing probably too much.
Yeah.
So they're not able to do what they were doing certainly in the first few games. And that's come born out of the fact that James doesn't seem fully fit, and obviously Seamus Coleman's been in and out. Like against United, they weren't fit. Yeah. You could tell he wasn't fit.
And I think that also comes from Richarlison as well. If Richarlison's not playing, we know what he gives us attacking wise, but defensively he gives us so much as well. I think we've said this on previous shows. When Richarlison's playing on the left, I don't think the midfield very often have to look left, because they know that he'll get back and he'll cover naturally. He naturally wants to be involved in the game. It's one of, you know, it's
and he carries the ball.
It's the difference between just, you know, and someone who goes in and fills in there to having Richarlison. You know, he's been away with Brazil. Luckily for us, he's played good minutes in both of the games. He's played, you know, in the last game out, he played 70 odd minutes.
Hopefully his ankle's okay.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, you know, he seems in good spirits. No, I mean, he seems in good spirits. He just wasn't carried off the pitch. I think he came off in that game. He
just limped off, didn't he?
I think it was a few minutes later. I think he seemed to be in good spirits. We'll find out. I don't want to, you know, put it down or anything. So, I think he'll be massive for us. But it's about finding out what that extra midfielder is going to do, and it's what the manager decides that midfielder needs to do, what his role is in the team. And I think going back to the Newcastle game, before that game, I was looking at someone like a Delph character. You don't want it to be Delph, of course you don't, because you can't count on him, and you know, but that role he was playing, you know, playing back with Alan, you know, the double pivot sort of style, protecting rather than having the midfield to protecting and allowing maybe then Decore to burst forward and be that player, that 8. I'd like to see that, and I don't know whether that means, listen, Alan's a bloody doubt for the game at the moment as we speak, so
of course,
you know what I mean? So we can't sit here saying someone and Alan. It could be
two new players.
Could be, that's the problem, isn't it? But you know, I know Tom Davis has been out the team at the moment. When he came in against Brighton, I thought he'd done a really uncomplicated, professional performance, and I think that's what it needs in midfield sometimes, especially in a game like this. Fulham, you're looking at and you're thinking, right, if we're solid, if we can get a clean sheet, and we should win this game. You know, I think we've got goals in us with Richarlison being back, and depending on what James Rodriguez's levels are, we should have goals in us if we keep a clean sheet. That's what I think. That's got to be the main objective, and I think, you know, that mentality, that I know he went to Newcastle with that mentality. Carlo was like, keep it tight, stay in the game, and then we should have enough. It didn't work. It went the other way, and I'm not saying we do that at Fulham or such, but just get the midfield right, get the middle of the park solid, get the protection in front of the back 4 or back 3, whatever you're going to go with, and let's play from that. Let's not leave ourselves open, and then we're always having to get, you know, score 2 to win a game. It shouldn't need that, and I think that's that base level that some other teams who at the moment are above us are, you know, capable. I look at someone like Leicester, and I know they've got a little bit more about them, and I think they've got a much better midfield than us. you've seen them in the last game out. They play Wolves, they get the goal through a penalty, and then they get a clean sheet and they win the game, and that's the end of it. Keeper pulls off a worldie, and that's the end of it. That's what we've got to become capable of doing against teams like Fulham, who are, you know, fighting at the bottom, but teams at the top as well. It's no good having this attitude that we'll outscore you. You can't do anything with that attitude for me. And especially when times are tough, you've got to dig in and go, we're going to win today. We're going to dig in, we're going to get a clean sheet, and we're going to win the game. And I think that's got to be the mentality, surely.
We've got to go after them. This is a team, you know, Fulham are a team that have won one game in 8 Premier League games. So, you know, albeit it was the last home game, but they beat West Bromwich Albion, who've only just come up and are struggling themselves. So it's not like they went to Liverpool and beat Liverpool, or they went and beat City. But they won the game. You know, they started the season letting goals in, but the last 5 games, they've tightened up. So that's made it a little bit, obviously, Scott Parker's trying to get that sorted. And that's kind of what we've got to do. We've got to, if we get it, listen, I'm not going to sit here and go 0-0 is a good result. No. But if you keep it 0 and it ends up 0-0, well, at least you've got a point. And maybe I wanted us to run before we could walk. I don't know. It's great seeing flow in football. It's great winning games 4-2. I'd rather win them 4-0. But there's got to be a point where your base level is enough to get you a point, and then you've got that little bit of magic from maybe a Richarlison, or maybe from James, or maybe it's a set piece from Michael Keane or whoever that wins you the game, and you get the points and you get momentum that way. And there'll be games when teams are open and you can take them apart because you're confident then and you're building. Now at the moment our confidence will be low because we've lost 3 games, but we've had the break. So you're hoping that they come back and go, right, back on it today. We're playing Fulham, they're 3rd from bottom. This is a game we should win. It's a tough game, and it always is a tough game against Fulham, particularly at Craven Cottage. But it's a game that if we want to be European challengers, like we keep telling everyone that's what we're going to be this year, and we want to be, these are the games you have to win.
Yeah, you have to win them. You have to win games like this if you want to be in the European places. These are the games that define. You win, if you win 6 or 7 of these games away from home, and then your home games which normally take care of themselves. I know this season's a little bit different, but they normally take care of themselves. And if you think about in the last few years, that's been the difference with us not getting into the European places, is the away form, and the away form against teams that we should be beating.
Well, we should be doing better.
Well, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, look at Fulham. Arsenal went there and won 3-0. They won. Villa went there and won 3-0. They're both up, you know, I know Arsenal below us, but they're in that middle section, and Villa are slightly above us, aren't they? I think, and go up by a point, whatever. They've gone and beat them there. Crystal Palace are up. They went and won at Fulham. So these teams have gone and done it. I'm not saying it's not going to be easy. Of course it isn't going to be easy, but it's an opportunity Sunday, and it's an opportunity to get momentum. And we saw going to Spurs day 1 what momentum can do for you. We went to Tottenham, kept the clean sheet, the only clean sheet we've kept, won the game, and then it was like, right, West Brom at home, now can we beat them? We beat them, and then all of a sudden it was Palace away, and it was a tricky game. It was like, we've got goals in us, we've got hammers, we've got goals, we'll win this. We won it. Then back home, and all of a sudden we've hit the buffers a little bit. You know, even the derby, we scored 2 goals in it. Could have had more. We went to Southampton, that was the kick in the private, I think, really, because we didn't even look dangerous after the Sigurdsson hit the bar, and that was really it. And that's put everyone on a downer. Newcastle, we could have got a point in the end. We didn't. It could have gone either way. United, we could have got a point. The Corey has 2 opportunities that might have broke on a different day, and he scores and we draw 2-2. So we haven't been destroyed in any of the games. Southampton was probably the worst, like most convincing defeat, wasn't it really?
Flat.
It was flat, and they got the goals and it was easy for them. But Sunday we've got to go and be the aggressors. We've got to be the team that's like, look, we're here to take this game. We've had a poor run, and that's why I think the makeup of the midfield will be really important, I think, for Carlo Ancelotti at the weekend.
Yeah, and you know, Fulham, they've tightened up. They brought in, you know, a few last minute deals. Obviously, Ademola Lookman was one of them, but they've certainly tightened up at the back. The results are, you know, you're more likely to get points, aren't you, if you're not conceding, and that's what they've stopped doing massively. It's maybe taken away from what was their natural attacking game, but at least he was quick enough to recognise that you've got to stay in games as long as you can, and it's funny that someone like Fulham took that mentality, and we've missed that in a way.
I think the first few games of the season, they were wide open, and I was thinking, well, they're just going to get leathered most weeks because they're trying to play that way that they played in the Championship. You can't always do it. You have to do it from a position of strength. I think Leeds have tried to do it, and they've been, it's at variance, like levels of success, having a great win at Villa, but then Leicester beat them 4-1, and so there's been kind of those things. Fulham have changed on the predicted lineup. Well, what they used last time, they're talking about what you'd said, they're the 4-2-3, the 4-2-3-1 to get players behind the ball. This is how they lined up last time out. So obviously, Adebayo's one of those late deals that they brought in. Anthony Robinson, ex-Everton, of course. They've got the double pivots in the middle, and then them three behind Mitrovic, Lookman, Kearney, and Cordova-Reid. And then obviously you've got Mitrovic, who's the battering ram up there. And, he started the season on the bench, Mitrovic, but he's got 2 goals and he's their leading scorer. Lookman's probably been their most exciting player so far. So, I think Everton will probably line up maybe similar to that. But it is an opportunity, and I think it's really interesting because we've lost as many in the last 3 as what we had in 14, before that. So for Carlo Ancelotti, I'm hoping that this 2-week break has really made him, and he will have done, of course, but it's made him look at things slightly different and think, right, are we going to just keep doing what we've been doing? Are we going to put Sigurdsson in midfield and go again with the same 3 and hope that Richarlison's the key to turning it all round? Or are we going to be a little bit more creative and go, well, long term, and by long term I mean for the full season, is Sigurdsson really the answer? Is that what we want in our midfield? Or do we want a athletic other midfield player in there, someone like Godfrey at the moment, but with the idea that we move towards Gbamin if he does become fit and available for us? Or do we want to try and have that creativity off that side? Because I think if you did play a Godfrey or even a Holgate in there, I think it would free up the Corey to do what he did well for Watford. I think at the minute with the Corey, even though his numbers are fine and he's winning the ball back a lot for us, he's not really in the game doing what he did do. We want him to be getting between the boxes. We want him to be getting onto flick-ons and knockdowns from Dom, and he's not really doing it. So he's not being able to play his natural game, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Lookman will be their danger man. He'll have something to prove. And obviously, something to prove from the last game as well, with the penalty miss against West Ham. So really have something to. So that'll be, that'll be interesting because he's a good player. He's tricky, and you're right. I think there has to be a response from us. It'd be interesting to see where the Gomez is involved, because obviously he's had a couple of weeks break. We didn't play the game before that, so it'd be interesting to see what his levels are. But Godfrey played for the under-21s, so did Tom, England under-21s, so did Tom Davis. So it'd be interesting whether they're involved. Because we've paid the money for Godfrey, and Mina's not been doing too well again in international. He gets sent off and misses the last game for Colombia, which they get beat 6-1 in. So he's got decisions to make, certainly at the back, certainly on the formation. And he's got to get it right, and he's got to do what he needs to do. Obviously, once the players get on the pitch, it's down to them. But it's a game we've got to win, as far as I'm concerned.
If he continued with what he's done so far, so 4-3-3, if you want to call it that, and say Richarlison's fit and Hammers is fit and Alan's fit, say he's got that complement of players, and he goes with Gomez, tries him again in there because Gylfi hasn't really done anything. Who would you play at right back? Because let's be honest, Seamus ain't going to play. So would you go with Kenny, or would you give Godfrey another go at right back? Because he's only played one game. He played.
I know, but Godfrey's not a right back. This is the problem. He's not a right back. So Holgate's more of a right back.
So you go with Kenny?
I probably would.
Okay.
But
I'm just interested.
Neither of them. Kenny's not. I've said it for a very long time. Kenny's not the answer. He's not the future. Holgate might be actually. I'd rather have Holgate at right back and Godfrey at centre back, because I think that would fit. I think Holgate can play it. It's not what he wants to play, but I think he can play it.
He's doing a job at the moment.
But John Joe's John Joe's a right back, whether you like that or not, and they've decided to keep. I'm not sure they wanted to keep him at the club, but he's at the club, and he's the backup right back. And sometimes you live by the sword, die by the sword. There's been, I've heard little mentions. Could Tom Davies play right back? I'm not so sure about that anymore because I don't think he's the natural fit. The way we want someone bombing up there defensively, I think he'd be all right as long as he's not trying to dribble out from right back. But no one's the solution. But unfortunately, Seamus, he should. Who am I to tell him he should retire from Ireland? But listen, I think
from a fan's perspective,
I think he should retire from Ireland. I watched Ireland last night. They're absolutely awful. There's nothing he can offer them that they need going forward.
Obviously he's 27
but at the same time he'd say, well, this is the time when they need me most, so what can you do? You can't say no, that chain was coming all over, but
the way it is.
Right back's a huge position.
I think you're right with maybe with Kenny, if we played the 3-5-2 and he has to play higher, then obviously I wouldn't be putting Ben Godfrey there to play that, because I think John Joe's actually is better in that role. I just don't think he's got the pace to get up and down regularly, constantly. So the team selection will be a key thing for this. For those of you that hate this stats part, because it's normally not great reading, then thank you for watching. For those who are sticking with it, Fulham have won their last meeting with Everton, ending a run of 10 games without a win against us. Didn't realise it was that long. Beat us 2-0, Scott Parker's first game as manager. Everton had only failed to score in one of the last 9 games with Fulham. That was the last time he met. Of all the fixtures that have played, Premier League fixtures that have been played on more than 10 occasions, Fulham Everton has seen the highest percentage of home wins. 82% have been won by the home side.
Right.
Everton won the last 2 Premier League games in London, which was as many as they won in the previous 26.
There you go.
Which is not great. Fulham, after conceding 10 goals in their opening 3 games, they've now conceded 5 in the last 5, which again further evidence that Scott Parker's kind of tightened it up. Everton have lost the last 3 Premier League matches, as many as they had in the previous 14. The Toffees last lost 4 in a row in October last year under Marco Silva. Fulham are the only team yet to score in the opening 15 minutes, but they've also conceded the most in that opening 15 minutes. Everton have conceded twice in each of their last 5 Premier League games. The last time they conceded in 6 was back in October 2008. Everton, Gylfi Sigurdsson has a hand in 5 goals in his last 5 Premier League appearances against Fulham, 4 goals and an assist. 2 of them coming in braces, and since he joined Everton in 2018, we're winless without Richarlison in 8 games. We all knew that anyway, didn't we? So yeah, I mean, there's a mixed bag there, isn't it? But certainly,
ultimately, none of it means anything.
It doesn't mean a thing, and I've seen this with Carlo Ancelotti, and it's kind of what we were saying the other day. It's like, we can look back as fans and go, oh God, all these games that have gone on. But even the thing that we've lost 3 on the run doesn't really mean anything, because those games are gone now, aren't they? It's about coming out on Sunday at 12 o'clock and going, right, we're here for the points today, and doing, running 3 brick walls, so to speak, for each other, battling and getting a win, so that you can start to feel good about the team again. Because, like we said, if you have a good start, you'd end up staying in that position. So now, whereas imagine if we had started in differently, we'd probably be 10th, 11th. If we can get a win Sunday, then I think it just consolidates where we are, and we'll build the confidence moving forward. But it is a big game. Yeah,
it is a big game, and no, if we win, it's a good platform going forward now, because let's be honest, now is a huge part of the season.
Yeah.
You're going to have
no international breaks.
Yeah, so you're getting like half the season now in one big chunk.
Yeah.
We've got Christmas, December. December's huge. There's a lot of not only big games, but games coming thick and fast. So
I think this is the start of 9 games in 42 days, I think, for Everton.
So we've got to be at it, and we've got to be ready, and the selections have got to be right, because he's going to need all of those players as well. And that means maybe not playing players who are not fit either, and not rushing people back if that's the case. We'll see what happens. We need 3 points just to get a smile back on our faces. And
it's a tough game, no?
It will. No, listen, I'm not underestimating this game whatsoever, because you can see with Fulham that they've got better defensively. So obviously they're working every day and striving to get better, and that's always a big thing, always, isn't it? That you're trying to stay in there. There you go. Let us know your thoughts in the comments on this one. Are you confident that Everton can get the 3 points, or are you a little bit worried and whatever comes with that? Let us know. Make sure to give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and if you want more great videos, daily live videos, join us on Patreon. There's a link here. Do it. See you later.